All right, guys. I don't know. We'll see if the audio works this time. Like, seriously, you would think I would know how to do a live stream. So let me know if you can hear me. I wonder if this is private. No one's here. Oh, one person's here. Catherine says she can hear me. Hallelujah. Catherine, is it a public stream? Like, are people able to access it? Thanks for coming back, everyone. That's so weird because I had the right microphone selected, but it just wasn't connecting. So I don't know. Okay, hi everyone. Yay. Thanks for being here. We're going to do a live Q&A about anxiety. And I just want to start off with a couple questions about the course because I've been working on this course for like 5 years, and I've been like promising this course for a long time, and a lot of people have questions. So the first thing to know is this course is, it's called Break the Anxiety Cycle in 30 Days. And I am going to publish the main 30 videos to YouTube for free because I really care about education, being able to, like, everyone being able to access education. Like, I feel like this is stuff that people should get a chance to learn without having to pay for it. And I know there's a lot of people who can't access expensive things like therapy and education. So I am going to be publishing these 31 main videos for this course on YouTube. The thing is, they're going to get published one video per week for the next 30 weeks. Or, well, we're going to intersperse with some other content in there too. So it's going to take, how long is 40 weeks? That's like 10 months. So in 9 or 10 months, the entire anxiety course will be on YouTube. You can watch one video a week and just like practice the exercises from that video once a week. Or you can wait 9 months and watch them all at once, whatever you want. So that is what is happening with the anxiety course. Some people are expressing some appreciation. Thank you so much, JP Reviews. That's so nice. And if you guys do want to access the full course sooner, the full course is going to include extra videos, extra exercises, workbook, live interactions with me, and like some question and answer sessions in the course. That'll be on my website where you can pay for it and get those bonuses there. Now, one last thing about that. We are right in the middle of editing this course. So right now there's like 4 or 5 videos up on the website. And we're hoping to have the entire course completely fleshed out, ready to go by fall. But there's an early access price now because we're already publishing it to YouTube. So it's cheaper now, but whatever. It's going to be on YouTube. And if you want the full thing, you can go buy it. So that's about the course. I got a few more questions about the course that I just wanted to answer before we jump into questions about anxiety, because we really are going to be talking about anxiety itself, not just about the course. The first question I got was like, who is this course for? Is it just for clinicians? No, it's for general public. Clinicians can watch it. Maybe you'll learn something. Maybe you'll be like, Emma, like you should have thought of this, but it's for everyone. Let me pull up I got a lot of questions submitted, so I'm excited to answer them. There were just a couple more questions about the course. How are these courses held? This course is, you can access it on your own. It's pre-recorded videos. We will be doing like live Q&As once a month in the course website, or maybe sooner than that. But you can access it at your own time, at your own pace for lifetime access. So that's where the course is. It's digital. You can find it on my website. Right now, someone asked, let's see, what are the fees? What's the duration? Is there a certificate? It's $97 right now. It's going to be more later, but because it's still being built and edited, $97 right now. Duration, it's going to have 31 main videos plus probably another 30 other videos. Each video is 15 minutes. So that's about 20 hours of content. But really, the way the course is built, it's like spend 15 to 30 minutes a day on this course. And by the end of the course, you'll have 30 new skills for anxiety. This person asked, I'm very anxious and I have no psychologist for different reasons. Is the course enough with a severe diagnosed anxiety? So if this person is wondering, like, will this course cure me if I don't do any other help? I would say, like, I can't answer that. Will this course be helpful with severe anxiety? Yes, it will. So that's the best way I can answer that question. How in depth will this course be? Is the format going to include group interaction? How in depth will this course be? Well, 20 hours of education. So that's a half year of therapy if you were to be educated in one therapy session a week for a half a year. I would say moderately in depth. If you want to know about like neuroscience and brain chemistry, I mean, I do talk about that, but not like if you want a neuroscience class, this is not the neuroscience class. This is very practical. Here's what to do when you experience anxiety and how to make peace with it and stop the anxiety cycle. Group interaction? No, it's not a community-oriented class. We'll have some Q&As like this where people can chat each other, but it's not a group class. It's an asynchronous class. So, okay. Oh, wow. This person says, oh, there's so many good questions. Okay, so many good questions. I'm really excited to get to the chat. Okay, does this course include PTSD-related anxiety? That's the last question I'm going to answer about the course. So PTSD, I do consider PTSD treatment to be separate from generalized anxiety treatment or other anxiety in general treatment. So the course I'm teaching, this Break the Anxiety Cycle course, is very much about generalized anxiety disorder and other anxiety disorders like agoraphobia, panic attacks, social anxiety, stuff like that. Like those really fit in the anxiety category in the DSM. And PTSD is in its own category. Now, underlying PTSD is a buttload of anxiety, like so much anxiety. So you really want to like learn to manage anxiety as part of PTSD, but then I would add on a subset of skills with anxiety that, with PTSD, I'm sorry. I would add on a subset of skills with PTSD that aren't included in this course. Now, in the future, I am going to be making a course on trauma with like kind of fundamental skills on trauma. Again, these courses take me a couple years to make, so I would hope to get it out next year, but I'm not going to promise. So, yes, it will help with social anxiety. Yes. Will it help with ADHD? Not exactly. Now people are asking about a bunch of phobias. Phobia treatment is pretty specific. Ooh, this is an interesting question. Will this course help with phobia of squirrels and monophobia? I don't know what monophobia is. People have lots of words for different types of phobias, and the treatment for specific phobias is very specific. And yes, this course will help with it. So, yes. Oh, I'm so glad people can hear me now. Okay. Oh, ADHD caused anxiety. Ooh, yeah. Such good questions. Okay. ADHD caused anxiety. Oh my gosh. I have just started writing a 4-video series on how executive function, which are the skills that help you organize your thoughts, inhibit behaviors, like kind of behavior control, choose where you put your attention, get yourself motivated, manage your time, organize your life. That's executive functioning skills. And with ADHD, executive functioning skills are often inhibited. And I'm just writing a 4-part series for YouTube on how those executive functioning skills really do underlie a lot of mental health conditions, including ADHD. So ADHD and anxiety overlap a ton. And when you have ADHD, it makes it harder to manage your attention. So it makes it easier for thoughts like worry thoughts and fear thoughts to kind of take over. This course is not going to address that, but I am excited to say that I am making 4 videos on executive function and how that kind of spirals with depression, anxiety, and trauma. So you'll have to watch my YouTube channel for that. Those are going to be free. So yeah. Okay. Yeah. Oh, there's so many good questions. I've got a few people asking if I offer private therapy. I am not accepting new clients right now, and I'm sorry to say that. No, I love doing therapy. I also have 4 little kids at home, and I'm just choosing to work limited hours right now so that I can really focus on my family and take care of my kids. So, okay. Let's talk anxiety. One of the first questions I got when I asked people about what they wanted to learn about anxiety, and kind of relating to this course, was, is anxiety curable? Do you have to live with an anxiety disorder forever? And those are two different questions, because the experience of having the feeling of anxiety, no, that's not curable, because there's nothing wrong with that. Feeling anxiety is not disordered, it's not bad, and it doesn't mean there's something wrong with you. Actually, if someone feels zero anxiety, like absolutely zero anxiety, they're probably going to be somewhat disordered. So people who feel no anxiety also don't feel worried or bothered when someone else is in pain. So people with extremely low anxiety might end up being like psychopaths. Like they might hurt other people quite a bit. Anxiety serves a function. It helps protect us from danger. So like I want my kids to experience some anxiety if they're walking near a very busy road or they're getting ready to cross a busy road. I want them to have the thought, oh, I wonder what the cars are doing, and to like look around and make sure they don't get hit by a car. Like that's the function of like worry. Oh, I don't want to get hit by a car. I'm going to check, make sure my environment's safe, and then I'll cross the street, and then I'll feel safe, and that anxiety will decrease, right? Like that little sense of like, oh, let's be alert. Your body pumps out anxiety symptoms. That's kind of a pathological term. It means like a negative, but your body pumps out these physiological sensations of anxiety to keep us safe, to help us care, to make things important, to motivate us to take action to be safe. So can you cure anxiety? No, because anxiety is not broken. Like there's nothing wrong with feeling anxiety. However, anxiety disorders are when your anxiety interferes with your ability to live your life. You feel so much anxiety, and your response to that anxiety, you don't know what to do with that anxiety. You don't know how to relate to that anxiety. You don't know how to be honest with your thought management. You don't know how to set boundaries around your thoughts. Then that worrying impacts your life and makes it so you can't enjoy going places. Or that worry makes it so that you don't go places at all, even if they're really important to you, or you stop seeing people, you cut people out of your life. Or if you have a specific phobia, like you're really afraid of dogs, you stop going outside, or you stop going to parks, or you don't visit your children who have dogs because you're so afraid. So a disorder, an anxiety disorder, is when we don't know what to do with our anxiety, or when our anxiety becomes so severe when we're actually safe, when we feel like we're in danger, when we're actually safe. So can anxiety disorders be treated? Absolutely. Absolutely, absolutely. Vast majority of people, I really believe, can overcome an anxiety disorder so that their life is no longer disordered. You might still experience the feeling of anxiety, but you'll be so good at feeling anxiety that it doesn't stop you from enjoying your life. It doesn't stop you from going places, doing things, and feeling happy while you do them. So is anxiety treatable? Well, anxiety, the feeling, no. But anxiety disorders, absolutely, absolutely. That's the first thing I would say is like, yes, it's treatable. You should learn the skills and try them and practice them, and you'll see your life change. So, I have gotten a lot of questions about health anxiety. Health anxiety. Okay, so health anxiety used to be called hypochondria. It's where you think that you constantly kind of think or worry that you're getting sick, or that you're constantly checking to make sure that you don't get sick, like you're Googling your symptoms all the time. You are or constantly avoiding checking your symptoms, or avoiding going to the doctor because you're afraid you're going to be sick. Or you're going to find out you have cancer. You're going to find out you have some disorder. So this constant checking and checking and checking and checking. Health anxiety is connected to OCD. Is a very similar type of process going on in your brain, where with health anxiety, you have a thought like, oh, what if I have cancer? Or you see a symptom like, oh, I have, I don't know, a blue spot on my arm. Does that mean I have cancer? And then that thought pops up, and you feel a sense of worry or anxiety, because worry or anxiety is, how we respond to the perception of danger. And you feel that anxiety, and then to make that feeling of anxiety go away, you do something to avoid that feeling. So for some people, that's getting reassurance. checking your symptoms. So, okay, does a blue spot mean cancer? And you Google it. Does a blue spot mean cancer? And you Google it. Does a blue spot mean cancer? And you Google it. And when you Google it and you read, no, a blue spot doesn't mean cancer, then you're kind of avoiding that feeling of anxiety. And when you avoid that feeling of anxiety, you feel a sense of relief. It's like, oh, okay, phew, I guess I don't have cancer. Good thing I checked. Good thing I did this reassurance thing. And then you feel better for a minute. The weird thing about your brain, and this is like, in this course, we talk about the anxiety cycle a lot. With the anxiety cycle, there's things we accidentally do that make our anxiety louder. And anytime we feel a threat and we avoid that threat, our brain pumps out that sense of relief. And then our brain's like, phew, the reason I survived was because I avoided that. Now, in this situation, you didn't actually avoid cancer. You avoided the thought about cancer and the sensation, the feeling of anxiety around the thought of cancer. You're avoiding that thought and you're avoiding that feeling. That's what you're avoiding. And then your brain gets a little bit of relief when you seek that reassurance, or when you avoid going to the doctor or whatever it is, you feel a little bit of relief. And then your brain's like, phew, good thing I avoided that thought. Good thing I avoided that feeling. That feeling must be dangerous. I'm going to make my human do that again to be safe. So you've accidentally labeled the thought and the feeling as dangerous. When you avoid it, your brain's like, okay, I kept my human alive by avoiding that fear of that blue spot, by checking. So I'm going to make my human more anxious about symptoms in the future. And so I'm going to increase my human's anxiety in order to help them stay alive from that thought. Now, you didn't actually take any action around the blue spot, right? Like, you took action around the thought and the feeling. So you're avoiding that thought and feeling, your brain increases anxiety. So then the next time you have a thought or feeling about a symptom, then you do some form of avoidance. Well, your brain increases your anxiety, so then you do more avoidance. Okay, whoa, what? Now I have another blue spot. Is this cancer? And you check, you do reassurance, you go to the doctor, you go to a second doctor, you go to a specialist, and each time you check, your brain's like, phew, good thing I checked, good thing I sought reassurance. That's what's going to keep my human safe. I'm going to make them more anxious about the next symptom, and that's the spiral. So the antidote to that spiral is reversing that avoidance piece in the cycle. So you figure out, what's my trigger? Oh, seeing a blue spot, or wondering about my heart rate, or hearing a news story about Hodgkin's lymphoma. And you realize what that trigger is. You realize what your anxiety sensation is. You get really clear on that. And then you get really, really clear on what you're doing to avoid it. And with health anxiety, it's usually symptom checking, reassurance seeking. And that could look like asking other people or asking your doctor, going to lots of doctors, seeking reassurance, getting that sense of relief, or avoiding it. So trying not to feel your body, trying not to go to the doctor, any of those avoidance techniques. And we replace those avoidance techniques with facing it techniques, with approach techniques. Oh, hey, so instead of avoiding that thought, what if it's cancer? It's like, oh, hello, thought. I noticed that my brain, the amazing word machine on top of my shoulders, is making me think that this is cancer. But that's just a thought. I'm going to notice that thought. I'm going to sit with that thought. I'm not going to seek reassurance on that thought. I'm not going to symptom check that thought. I'm going to allow that thought to be there. I'm going to practice willingness. And then you also treat this anxiety cycle in two other places, which is what we talk about in the course. The first place is in avoidance. We stop avoiding. We stop symptom checking. We stop avoiding places. And that sounds really hard, but we break it down. We make it easier. The second place we do this is in our bodies. So we can learn to strengthen that parasympathetic response. Our body has a natural ability to decrease anxiety, to resolve anxiety. So just like that story with my kids, right? If they're getting ready to cross the road, I want them to feel a little twinge of physical sensations of anxiety. Like, oh, what if there's a car? I should look for cars before I cross the street. Then they cross the street and they're like, okay, we're across the street. We did it safely. Good job. And you feel that sense of safety and you feel that anxiety go away. Your nervous system has a natural response to reduce anxiety. And that's the parasympathetic response. So that's the second part of breaking the anxiety cycle, is learning how to turn on that parasympathetic response, that body calming response. And in the course, you'll learn about how it has to do with shaking it off, crying, laughing, connecting with other human beings, and body regulation skills, somatic regulation skills. So a lot of times people talk about breathing as a treatment for anxiety. And what that's doing is helping to trigger the parasympathetic response. If it's not done the right way, it can backfire. If you're trying to force your anxiety away, that's jumping on that anxiety cycle and telling your brain, oh my gosh, fast breathing is dangerous. And then your brain is like, oh, it is dangerous? I'm going to amp up my anxiety around that. And that starts you back on that anxiety cycle. I'm like waving to this theoretical anxiety cycle. I'm getting this chart made of what the anxiety cycle looks like and how to stop it. But when it comes to health anxiety, that's the main idea. Your avoidance behaviors are keeping you stuck in the anxiety cycle. So when you learn to approach your thoughts and feelings around your health, instead of avoiding those thoughts and feelings around your health, you can break the anxiety cycle with health anxiety. Kat Green, Dr. Kat Green, is an expert on OCD and health anxiety, and she actually built a course on my website specific to health anxiety. I think right now it's only $67. So if you guys want to check that out, it's on my website. We haven't advertised it much, but I'm getting so many questions about health anxiety that I'm going to do like a Q&A with her soon on YouTube. So, okay, enough about health anxiety. Let's check out some of these other questions. Let's see. Here's a quick question that I hope I can answer. Is there any correlation between diet and anxiety? Yes, absolutely. Research shows that people who eat more processed food, more high sugar food, and people who experience allergies to their food or having gut health problems or have inflammation in their gut, all of those can contribute to anxiety disorders. And research shows that people who eat a Mediterranean diet, which is, and when I talk about diet, I'm not meaning like calorie restriction. I'm not encouraging like eating disorders. I'm talking about choosing which type of foods you want to put into your body. Who generally eat a little bit less processed food, more Mediterranean diet, fish, nuts, high fiber, lots of green veggies, lots of color in their food, low saturated fat, low processed carbs. Those people have a decreased chance of anxiety by 30 to 40% with the Mediterranean diet. And the other thing that's interesting with diet is if you do have an intolerance or an allergy, inflammation is closely associated with anxiety. So inflammation is your body's response to a threat. And that can look like a physical threat, like when you get hay fever, your body's responding to pollen as if it was a threat and releasing cytokines, activating your immune system, making your nose run. You get red, you get puffy, you get itchy. That's an inflammation response. And cortisol is closely related to inflammation, and cortisol is also a stress hormone. So our body has a natural threat response to both physical stressors and mental stressors. Like our brains are so cool that they can imagine threats that aren't happening right now. And that's one reason why humans are so awesome, and also one reason why humans can be so anxious, because we can visualize all these things that might make us feel anxious or threatened, even when they aren't physically present. So inflammation can also impact anxiety. That's the short answer. So yes, like improving your diet can be one piece of this puzzle. I don't think it's the only piece of the puzzle. So if someone were to say to me like, oh, if I just change one thing in my life, if I just change my diet, will my anxiety go away? I would say no, because our brains do like both biology, psychology, and our experiences, like biopsychosocial. Those three aspects are really what contribute to our anxiety. But if you work on all three just a little, you can make a lot of progress. Or just decreasing one might make it so you get past the tipping point where anxiety is not running your life anymore. So that can help. That can help. Oh, this is interesting. Someone said, interesting about inflammation. I started having IBS symptoms 2 months ago, and my anxiety has increased. So much to learn. Yeah. So in the course, and you'll see it on YouTube too, in the course, I talk about 10 things that look like anxiety but aren't anxiety. And it's like these physical conditions can feel just like anxiety when they're best treated from a physical approach. And sometimes things that look like like physical things are actually best treated from an anxiety approach, because our mind and body really have a very powerful feedback loop. So when we're stressed, our gut doesn't digest as well, and that can look like IBS or it can look like other gut issues. And when we have gut issues, it sends a message to our brain like, oh, things aren't okay, and that can make us anxious. So there's a really interesting feedback loop between our brain and our body. And inflammation is connected to our nervous system, and our nervous system is connected to our brain. They all feed off of each other. Yeah. Yes. Okay. I see that some people are. Oh, here's a quick question. Will your course help children? It's not geared toward children. It's geared toward adolescents and up. So with kids, it's a little bit more of a specific approach, but yeah. Let's see. CBD and anxiety. It's a good question. I'm not an expert on that. CBD helps anxiety symptoms, but it doesn't help the psychology of anxiety. Okay, here's another one. Ooh, this is a good one. The thing is that I'm anxious about being anxious. I always think my anxiety will last forever, and that's what's making it persist. How do I genuinely relax? Is anxiety disorder treatable? This is such a good question. And it's interesting as you read the question, it's interesting because they're saying, I'm anxious about being anxious, and then I'm afraid my anxiety is going to last forever. And then they say, how do I make it go away? How do I genuinely relax? This person, the first week of this course, focuses on our mindset around anxiety, because our common culture has told us that anxiety is something that's dangerous. There's a lot of news stories out there about the anxiety epidemic, and this idea that the feeling of anxiety is going to hurt you. It's going to ruin your life or something like that. And even if we hadn't heard all these things, the sensation of anxiety isn't comfortable. We like comfort, right? Comfort is more comfortable. So when we feel those anxiety sensations, we have a natural inclination to be like, what can I do to make these feelings go away? And when we're high anxiety, we might have a tendency to be like, oh my gosh, I have to make these feelings go away or else. So, and you see this a lot when people are trying to sleep, right? Oh, I'm having a hard time sleeping. What if I can't sleep tonight? Oh my gosh, what if I'm so anxious that I can't sleep tonight? I have to force myself to calm down. If we look at the anxiety cycle with this, we are now labeling the new danger is our feelings inside of us. We're labeling our feelings as being dangerous and as being threatening. And when we do that, our brain is like, oh my gosh, it's a threat. I need to activate the anxiety response. And when we try and force our anxiety to go away, we're telling our brain, no, this is really dangerous. We have to do something about it. And our brain is like, whoa, this is dangerous. I'm going to pay more attention to it. I'm going to make it louder. And that creates this anxiety spiral. So how do we interrupt the cycle of meta anxiety, which is anxiety around being anxious? And this shows up, let me just explain. This shows up, meta anxiety shows up in a lot of forms. I'm anxious that I might get anxious at this upcoming event. I'm anxious about these physical symptoms I'm feeling. Oh my gosh, I can't handle having an upset stomach, like because my anxiety, I can't handle butterflies in my stomach. I need to make them go away. What if these butterflies are here forever? There's other types of anxiety around anxiety, like, oh, what if other people notice I'm feeling anxious? And all of this is called meta anxiety or anxiety around anxiety. The more we try to force that to go away, the more we send a message to our brain that anxiety is dangerous, and that's going to increase our anxiety. So the antidote to this is to stop trying to relax. This person specifically asked, I'm anxious about my anxiety. How do I make myself not feel anxious? And it's like the antidote to this, don't try to relax. Don't try to cope with anxiety anymore. That's telling your brain that anxiety is dangerous, and that's perpetuating the cycle. So we have to get all like woo-wei with this. We have to like use Aikido, which is like a type of martial arts where you're not fighting something, you're flowing with it. So we say, okay, I can handle feeling anxiety and be okay. We do the opposite of fighting anxiety. We create space for anxiety. We say, I can feel this feeling and be okay. I don't need this feeling to go away. And constantly kind of reaffirming to yourself, I can handle this. I can allow myself to feel this. Now, with acceptance and commitment therapy, willingness is the skill that a lot of people that has been found to be really helpful with this. Willingness is the practice to build your muscle to get better at feeling. Willingness is a skill you can learn. You can train yourself to stop engaging in this anxiety cycle and replace it with a cycle of like being really good at feeling anxiety and it not bother you anymore. So to practice willingness, you're going to practice being present. So instead of being like, I have to make this anxiety go away or else, you say, I can be here right now. Anxiety is going to come and go. I can allow myself to be here in the present moment with my anxiety, just for now. It's exploring anxiety like you're a curious scientist, like, oh, I'm curious what this anxiety feeling is. It's accepting, it's taking a non-judgmental approach where you're saying like, oh, anxiety is not good or bad. It's simply here. It's just a feeling. Now, my actions might be good or bad. What I do with my anxiety might be good or bad. But this feeling, it is what it is. It's just here, right? That's the A in acceptance. And expanding. Expanding is making space. So instead of shoving and pushing and trying to force that anxiety down, you say, I can make space for my anxiety and be okay anyway. I can make space for my anxiety and explore what else is there. Like I can feel a little bit of anxiety and I can also feel like a little bit of wonder about like the beautiful world around me. And I can also get present and be here with my kids. So this is what I would say about meta anxiety is like, you've got to learn to stop trying to force your anxiety to go away. Same thing goes to sleep. I got a lot of questions about sleep, how to stop worrying at night. And I think a lot of people try all sorts of things. I even made a video like 4 years ago about like, okay, here's 10 things you can try to stop being anxious at night and to stop like, here's 10 things you can do to like make yourself fall back asleep if you wake up in the middle of the night. And 3 years later, I've come a little bit further in my practice where it's like, oh, that's probably not really helpful for me to try and like force my anxiety to go away. So what do you do on anxiety at night? There are things you can do to decrease anxiety. Don't get me wrong. Like this whole course is not just like, oh, just accept that you feel anxiety and move on. No. We are going to decrease anxiety. We're going to stop doing the things that feed anxiety. So the first thing with worrying at night, after we drop the cycle, after we drop like spiraling with our anxiety, the next thing we can do is learning to put boundaries on our worries. So this person says, oh, I worry at night. A lot of people worry right when they're trying to fall asleep or they wake up at 2 or 3 a.m. and they're worrying. So you can actually decrease your worrying by, I would say, 75%. If you tell your worry when it's allowed to show up and when it isn't. And the way you do this is scheduled worry. So if you're waking up in the middle of the night worrying, it's because your brain thinks it has all these problems it needs to solve, and maybe it does, but you haven't given your brain the right time to problem solve, because worry serves a function too. Worry isn't just a bad thing that happens to us. Worrying is a kind of unhelpful form of problem solving. So you can set boundaries on your brain by telling it when it's okay to worry and when it isn't. And you schedule worry. So you basically say, okay, every day at 2 p.m., I'm going to worry for 15 minutes. And you worry on paper, you write it down, and allow your brain to worry then. And then throughout the day, the rest of the day, when you are worrying, when worries pop up, you tell your brain, hey, brain, that's for 2 o'clock. I'll talk to you then. And it's like setting boundaries on that relationship with worry. When you do that, it tells your brain like, I don't need to worry all the time. My human's going to worry later. So I don't need to keep reminding them. It's like your brain develops a little bit of trust with you that you're going to address the problems it wants you to address. So that's what I'd say. That's the first thing I'd say about worrying at night. There's a lot to do with sleep that I have learned lately that's been really helpful for me. So for me, another really important skill, if you want to be less anxious, is learning to channel your attention. When we don't know how to channel our attention, so our attention is like a muscle. And if we don't know how to channel our attention, then what happens is your brain just decides, I'm going to pop out all these thoughts, and the scariest thoughts are the ones we pay attention to, and then anxiety kind of takes over. So learning to channel your attention, you might be like, oh, there's a thought that popped up, but I'm going to go back to doing what I was doing. I'll come back to that thought later if I need to. And that skill, when it comes to bedtime, I think can be really, really valuable. We train that skill through mindfulness. I hate mindfulness. It's really hard for me, but it's a really good skill. I don't hate mindfulness. Mindfulness is just really hard to practice. It's a workout. It's like mental and emotional labor. So, where was I going when it comes to sleeping? What you're going to do is choose to worry during the day. And then at night, you tell your brain, hey, thanks for bringing that up. We'll talk about it tomorrow at 2:00, and redirect your attention to something else. For me, I'm not a huge fan of distraction, but I have found that distraction at night totally works for me. So I listen to archaeology videos, really quiet in my bed at night, and it puts me to sleep. And that's me intentionally choosing to not focus on worrying at night and to focus on worrying in the afternoon. And I'm sleeping better than I ever have. There's also a sleep coach I'm going to recommend later. In the course, I'll recommend him, but I just read his email sequences and they like made my life better, but he has courses and stuff too on sleep. So, okay, let's see. What are some activities I can do when I feel anxious and worried? I have work to do, so I can't stop my work. Something like 15 to 30 minutes. First thing I would say is a brain dump. Brain dump is the fastest way to like take these nebulous thoughts that are causing anxiety. So the fuel of generalized anxiety is fearful thoughts, the perception of danger, believing that we're in danger. We just create this belief that we're in danger all the time with our worries. So when we think about bad things happening or remember bad things we did or imagine ourselves getting rejected, we create the perception of danger in the present moment, even though we're thinking about future stuff. The shortest, quickest way to like start working on those thoughts is a brain dump. So you take those thoughts and you write them down. The second thing I would say would be to do a locus of control exercise. That's where you make a piece of paper, you put a line down the middle, you say, what can I control? What can't I control? So, hang on just a second. So that exercise can help you gain more clarity by writing it out physically. Never worry in your head. Do your very best to worry on paper. When you're practicing worry, do it on paper so that you know it's a very specific thing. And so brain dump is dumping all those thoughts down on paper so you know what they are. Second one is clarifying. What can I change? What can't I change? And then choosing to take action on one of them. That's where we break the anxiety cycle aspect of avoidance. So the reason worry is a problem, or all these negative thoughts that cause anxiety are a problem, is because we're thinking them and thinking them and thinking them and thinking them. And it's, we're not facing them. We're not dealing with them. We're not addressing them and saying, oh, I'm decided I can't do anything about that, so I'll put it over here. That's the approach response. Avoidance keeps us stuck in anxiety. Approaching things resolves anxiety. Whether it is dangerous or isn't dangerous, just approaching it resolves our anxiety. So that's why writing it down, facing it, and doing the locus of control is helpful. Sorry if I'm wandering there a little bit. I have someone who's asking over and over again, they're asking, anxiety has ruined my life, and so has depersonalization, derealization disorder. And I've gotten a lot of questions about depersonalization and derealization disorder. I do consider those generally to be more in the category of a trauma response than an anxiety response, though trauma is founded on anxiety, right? It's our danger and fear centers of our brain getting stuck. Depersonalization is when, if you look at the nervous system, you look at the polyvagal approach to understanding how anxiety works, you've got your level where you're safe, where you feel like everything's okay. This is your parasympathetic response. This is where you can rest, you can digest, you can relax, you can connect, you can eat, right? Your body's working and healing and you're connecting to people. That's your safety response. The next level is when you perceive some danger, you go into an activated response or nervous system arousal. This is the fight, flight, freeze response or the anxiety response. The next level, when a threat seems, when your nervous system or your brain interpret a threat, to be overwhelming, to be impossible to overcome, or when your reserves are so low that you don't have energy to face a problem, your nervous system, your autonomic nervous system bumps you out of that activated response into a shutdown state or a numb response. And this can kind of protect you from a danger that you can't escape. So let's say like a wild animal has attacked you, grabbed you, is chewing on you, and you can't escape. Your body might go into derealization or depersonalization, and you might feel numb, floaty, detached. You might feel like time is moving really fast or really slow. And that's because your brain and body are protecting you, attempting to protect you from something that feels so overwhelming. So for this person who keeps asking, like, everything is so terrible, my life is being completely taken over by anxiety, and I keep going into this depersonalization, derealization response, this numb response or this shutdown response. What I would say is, one, like, get support. Like, if you can, attend group therapy, attend regular therapy. If you need, like short term, in the United States, they have what are called IOPs, which are intensive outpatient hospitalization. So a lot of hospitals offer this, where you could go to therapy every day for a week, or 6 weeks or 8 weeks. You're getting group support and therapy support daily. Like if your anxiety is ruining your life, get a lot of support. The next thing I would say is, like, let's say you can't get any support. Let's say you can't get any help. I would say, what is one small step toward decreasing the stressors in your life and increasing your resilience in your life? So does that look like getting a little bit more sleep? Does it look like saying no to some task at work? Does it look like practicing scheduled worry every day? Does it look like, I've got a free grounding skills course. Go take my grounding skills course. It's free. You'll learn 20 skills to soothe your nervous system and maybe get yourself out of that shutdown state and back into the activated state or the safety state. So I would just say, like, pick one skill, do it 5 minutes every day for 30 days, and it'll become habitual. Like, you'll get better at it. It'll get easier. And then when you're really good at that grounding skill, you're really good at locus of control activity, then pick one more skill. Pick one more skill. And, ooh, that was kind of loud. And do that like every day for 30 days. And just see if you can chip away at anxiety. If you have the resources, you can do more skills faster. But if you're completely drowning, just start with one, and it can make a big difference. Oh, someone says IOPs are a huge waste of money. There are good and bad hospital treatments. Like, there are good and bad hospitals. There are some hospitals that are completely garbage. Like, if you go to a psych hospital and they just hold you, they just keep you there. They just try new medication. Not that medication is a problem. They keep you alive and they try new medication until you can get outpatient support. That's sometimes all that hospitals do. And sometimes there are really good hospital programs. I just had one of my clients attended an IOP here in Utah, and it was 8 weeks, and it was excellent for her. So some IOPs are garbage. Some IOPs are great. Some hospitals will just hold you. Some hospitals will teach you tons and tons of skills and give you tons and tons of support and resources and groups and therapy. So yes, I know a lot of people have had bad experiences in hospitals, and I know some people have had really good ones. So, okay, I keep getting questions about EMDR. So EMDR is eye movement desensitization and reprocessing. It's an evidence-based treatment for trauma. You use bilateral stimulation. So that means tapping side to side or eye movement side to side to help your brain process through memories. People keep asking about how effective it is for general anxiety disorder. EMDR, from what I understand, is more effective with specific instances of trauma or specific beliefs that are contributing to trauma or specific discrete things that you are afraid of, like dogs or grasshoppers or whatever it is, than it is for necessarily long-term both chronic PTSD, complex PTSD, CPTSD, or generalized anxiety disorder. So with generalized anxiety disorder, the treatment is going to be more focused on learning new skills to manage your thoughts, managing worry, managing perception of danger, and decreasing external stressors and increasing your ability to solve problems. Whereas EMDR is more about processing trauma and triggers that have kept you stuck. EMDR is very effective with trauma, especially instances of trauma that were maybe short-term. And it's still effective with anxiety and trauma like CPTSD, but it's not what I'm teaching in this course. And it's something you usually do with a practitioner, not something you do on your own. Oh, is this course going to help with benzo withdrawal? Okay, so benzodiazepines are a type of medication that help people decrease anxiety in the short term. So if you're like having a panic attack, your doctor might give you benzodiazepine to use for panic attacks. They help kind of suppress that anxiety symptom response, but they don't do anything to help decrease the cause of that anxiety symptom response. So, and they can be kind of addictive. So a lot of people try to wean off of benzodiazepines or use them kind of as little as possible. And some people they end up getting kind of dependent on them. So if you're trying to decrease your benzodiazepine use, I would say replacing it with skills is the sustainable solution, right? So if you're asking like, okay, I'm going off of benzos and I feel so anxious, will this course make me not feel anxious? I would say this course will help you change your relationship to anxiety so that you don't feel like you have to make those feelings go away immediately. It will increase your ability to relate to those feelings in a really positive, compassionate way so that they don't stress you out so much. And it'll teach you the skills to prevent your anxiety from spiraling in future situations so that you don't rely on benzodiazepines. So yes, I would say that replacing, that using skills is a more sustainable approach than short-term medication to managing anxiety. That's what I would say. And you can learn those skills in lots of places, right? I've got free YouTube videos out there. You could go to therapy. You could go to an anxiety support group. You could read a book on anxiety. There's a lot of ways to learn about anxiety. And to learn the skills so that you can manage anxiety in the long run. I think most doctors and psychiatrists would agree that medication is beneficial, like Prozac and SSRIs and other anti-anxiety medication is beneficial, especially in the short term, but that CBT and mental health skills is a better long-term solution. Yeah, let's see. I wonder, someone just asked, can I leave information about the course in the comments? Yeah. So let's do that. Let me grab that link really quick. I had that link in the other live stream and I couldn't get my audio to work. So how's that, huh? Gotta log in, grab this link really quick. And just as a reminder for anyone who wasn't here right at the beginning, the full course is going to be up in a couple of months. Like we are in the middle of editing the videos and getting them all ready. So this is something that you can sign up for the course now, but it's not all ready yet, just to be clear. So we're going to be publishing it to YouTube, but it's going to be up way sooner on the full course. It just, oh man, there we go. I'll pin that on the top. It's not 100% ready yet. So you can sign up for early access. It's cheaper now. That's the benefits. So, yeah. Yes, I would recommend the course while also seeing a therapist. Can anxiety be overcome? Yes. Anxiety disorders, not anxiety the feeling. What about sensory sensitivity? Man, sensory sensitivity can be really hard. She's asking about a dog. Whining makes her kind of angry, and having a child. Yeah, having kids is sensory overwhelm sometimes. I think there's different treatments for sensory sensitivity. And I recently, you could check out my interview with Dr. Tuba. It's on my podcast. The full-length interview about sensory sensitivities, auditory sensitivities is on my podcast. It's about 45 minutes long. And I talk with a audiologist about some of the treatment options for sensory sensitivities, because there are some good ones. The short answer is increase positive noise around you so that your ears decrease their sensitivity. That's the short answer, is adding on. So if your dog's whining, adding on rain sounds, adding on nature sounds, adding on white noise to retrain your ears to be less sensitive to certain things. So thanks everyone who's contributing with super thanks. That's super nice of you. Ooh, do I agree with Gabor Mate? I believe that's how you say his name, that all of these are related to childhood trauma, and that's the cause of many illnesses. Childhood trauma is absolutely the cause of many illnesses. Like, that is undoubtable. Childhood trauma contributes to depression and anxiety. Childhood trauma contributes to physical illnesses like like autoimmune disorders and cardiovascular diseases and all kinds of stuff. Is childhood trauma the reason why you're experiencing generalized anxiety disorder? I'm not going to say that. What I would say is that, like, childhood trauma can sensitize our brain to make us more sensitive to anxiety and more sensitive to threats. So it can increase our sensitivity, make us more attuned, more alert, more vigilant, and more reactive to perceived danger. The other thing that childhood trauma does is it creates present moment habits that maintain anxiety. So an initiating cause of anxiety, like the first thing that initially makes you anxious, might be this experience that you had. But the thing that maintains anxiety is your thoughts and your body's response in the present moment. So the past doesn't make us anxious. It can make our brain more sensitive. It can make our brain more sensitive to anxiety. But our thoughts of danger, our belief that we're in danger in the present moment, our perception of danger, our worries maintain anxiety in the present moment, and we can change those. And our body's response creates that feedback loop, and we can change those. You really can retrain a lot of this. It takes a lot of work, though, especially when, as a child, your brain is very plastic, and as you get older, your brain becomes a little bit less plastic. But our brains really are designed to heal and change and adapt. So I would not. So yes, childhood trauma can contribute to anxiety, absolutely. And yes, it's still often very, 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 very treatable in the present moment. Okay. All right. I have really appreciated everyone who's been here. Thanks so much for being here. Thanks for asking questions. I do have to go. Yeah. So really appreciate all of you. I hope you are able to find the support that you need, the love that you need, and also just the belief that, like, if you learn something new, life can get better, and just keep learning, like, one little new skill at a time. So, yeah, thank you all so much, and take care.